A common mistake that archers make, and that I know that I've made in the past when I first started bow hunting, is really only practicing in the spring and summer. Once the season starts, we think, oh, I'm sighted in, I'm good to go, and we don't shoot our bow from September to January. And then typically after the season's over, that bow gets hung up and we don't get it out to shoot and practice again until May, June, July, sometimes even August. However, this is a big mistake because if you don't shoot your bow for a few weeks or a month or several months, there's a good chance that your form is going to change, your anchor points aren't going to be the same as they were previously, and you're just not going to shoot as accurately as you once were. We also then like to blame our sights and say, well, our bow's not sighted in anymore, when the reality is your form has changed enough that we're simply not shooting as accurately because we're not shooting the same as we were before when it comes to form. Another mistake I've seen people make, and I've seen people say things on social media or just in person about, well, it's hunting season, it's time to go hunting. We don't need to be practicing during the season. That was for the spring and summer. But you still need to practice in season. I still need to practice in season. The key to practicing in season is this. In May, June, July, August, we're typically out practicing in the yard or at the range or wherever. Basketball shorts, a t-shirt, maybe a cutoff shirt. If you're really cool, you probably don't wear a shirt at all. But when we get into hunting season, we need to be practicing in the gear that you're going to be hunting in. Try to make it as realistic as possible. If you can practice from an elevated position, if you're going to be hunting out of a deer stand, that's amazing. Not everyone has a deer stand in their backyard, but if you can get creative and shoot off of your back deck, shoot off of your children's play set, if that's an option, anything like that you can do to make it more realistic will help you whenever it comes to hunting. The other thing you can see here today, it's cold, it's December 10th right now. I have on my jacket, I have on my stocking hat, I have on my gloves. Even if it's not that cool outside, if you know this the next time you go hunting, you're going to be wearing gloves, you're going to be dressing warmer, I encourage you when you go out and practice that week, even if it's 60 degrees, 70 degrees, put your gloves on, put a hat on. If you think you might be wearing a neck gaiter, put a neck gaiter on. Because all those sorts of things are going to change your anchor points potentially, and you want to practice just like you're hunting. So you want to practice with the gear that you have on when you're hunting. The other common mistake is really just not practicing enough. Like I said, we typically practice May, June, July, August, and then we neglect practicing very much during the season. It was a big change for me whenever I started shooting year-round. So when you get closer to deer season or whatever game you're chasing season, you probably practice a lot more during the week. Before I had kids, I practiced every single day after work or whenever I could, and it really just kept all my form consistent. It kept all my pins and sights consistent. Everything was consistent about the way that I shot. And in turn, I saw a lot better accuracy and a lot better results. What finally encouraged me to begin practicing every day was really common sense realization and logic. I'd go hunting and I know there was a year that I missed a deer that I really shouldn't have missed. Luckily, he came right back after I missed, and then I shot again and still didn't make a great shot, but was able to kill the deer and recover it in only 70 or 80 yards. But there have been times that I've made poor shots on deer that I couldn't recover. There have been times that I missed deer completely. And what I finally realized was I wasn't practicing in the season. I practiced in May, June, July, August, and I thought, well, that's good enough. I'm sighted in, I'm ready to go. But shooting a bow, even a compound bow, consistently, accurate, and well, is not something that's easily done. And if we don't practice as much as we can, our form is going to change, our form is going to suffer, and ultimately the results we see when hunting are going to suffer. So I would encourage you all, get out and shoot your bow at least once a week, at least a couple times a week if you can during the season. Shoot it even more outside of the season. You're going to see better results. You're going to see better accuracy. You're going to see more consistent form, less frustration each year when it comes to sighting your bow in. The reality is our bows don't necessarily, the sights don't get off. Sure, humidity and things like that can play a factor in maybe moving your pins just a little bit. The reality is you change, your form changes, not your sights. So every year when we go out and sight our bow in, really what we're doing is trying to get our form back that we had the previous year if we haven't shot your bow for 6 months or something like that. So you're going to see better results, less frustration, and if you like shooting your bow, you're going to see a lot of fun and satisfaction and enjoyment just from doing that. One thing I've done to make it more enjoyable at times is go out, take my kids out in the backyard and have them play while I shoot, obviously making sure that they're always behind me or with me whenever I shoot. One way I've tried to include the kids in shooting my bow is teaching them that when you shoot at a deer, they typically duck. So I'll have them stand over 10 yards away and I make them close their eyes, and I want them, whenever they hear the shot, to duck like a deer would duck. And it's really funny. They have a lot of fun with it. And it's just one more way to make that time go by and get those shots in and get that consistency in. So I'd encourage you guys, get out and practice as much as you can. Definitely a couple times a week if possible. Sometimes life happens and you can only get out there once every couple weeks, but that's better than nothing. That's better than hanging your bow up for months and not practicing at all. I would encourage you also, when it gets time of year where you're going to be hunting with gear on, like gloves and gaiters and hats and coveralls and all that stuff, practice the same way that you're really going to be hunting. Put that gear on, get out and get 10 minutes in of shooting, and make sure that your anchor points are all staying the same, that you're still shooting accurately, because it really can change the way that you anchor. If your glove has a lot of padding, you're not going to have it up against your jaw or your cheekbone as well as you can, and you've got to get those things figured out. I stopped wearing a face mask when I bow hunt several years ago because I was seeing that face mask was even preventing me from finding my anchor points accurately. So if I do wear a neck gaiter, I'll wear it in the stand, and whenever I see a deer coming or I think, oh, here's an opportunity, I will pull that thing down and lower it down my neck as much as I can so that I can feel my thumb. One of my anchor points is my thumb bone on my jawline, and then my tip of my thumb I usually have touching my neck, just as another anchor point to have. So I'll pull that neck gaiter down and get ready to shoot that way, so I'm shooting the same as I practiced. This doesn't mean that you're never going to miss a deer. It doesn't mean you're never going to make a bad shot. It doesn't mean you're never going to misjudge distance. But I promise you will see more satisfaction. You will see better results. You'll see more accuracy by getting out and practicing regularly and keeping your form consistent, keeping your shooting consistent. Thanks for watching Farming for Whitetails. We'll see you next time.